Thank you for joining us in honoring the Nisei soldiers of World War II. The Nisei were second-generation Americans whose parents immigrated from Japan. This memorial service, formerly called the Joint Memorial Service, has been held at Punchbowl Cemetery in Honolulu for the past 14 years. But this year, it's a virtual event because of the pandemic. So we honor the Nisei soldiers of World War II because in the face of adversity, they chose to fight two battles, one in the war zone and the second on the home front against discrimination. They left us with valuable lessons for today. Please enjoy the service. Mahalo.
Forward, march, up, 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 up. Mark time, march. Left turn, march. Present. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red clear, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Avai pono I nana I komo I kalani ali ke ali makualani e kamehameha Nakawa e pale meka ihe makualani e kamehameha nakawa e pale meka ihe.
Exit turn, march, up, 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 group, halt, post, colors. Ready, up. Ready, cut. Present, arms. Order, arms. Left turn, march, up, Up. 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 Forward. March. Up. 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 Up.
Would you join me in prayer? Father, thank you for this time set apart from the press of life to remember the Nisei who humbly offered themselves, many with their lives, for the ideals of freedom, honor, justice, and equality, and for their families who were no less part of their service. They were ordinary men with little status and who were regarded with suspicion, but were willing to bear injustice to foster justice, and in doing so, change the landscape of our nation, and we are forever grateful. We would never know the prayers that passed through their lips and through their thoughts as they entered the line of fire. But we imagine some of them prayed that whatever sacrifices they were to make would mean something, that they would not be sacrificing in vain. As we look over the past 75 years, we recognize that you graciously answered many of those prayers. Thank you. In the not too distant future, face-to-face conversations with them will cease, and only their stories will remain. Their stories, the purpose of their sacrifices, the gut meanings of humility and courage are at risk of diminishing over time by the pace of our lives, by the prosperity that we have experienced, and by new challenges that threaten our confidence and security. Our prayer is that we would not let this happen. So we ask that you would renew our understanding, appreciation, and vision of and for their individual and collective acts of courage, and for your purposes of allowing us to be the United States of America. We ask a blessing on those who have worked faithfully behind the scenes to organize this remembrance. In Christ's name, amen.
When the war started in 1941, I was 15 years old, a sophomore in high school. The military took over, and the first thing they did was to declare a 6 o'clock curfew. We had to be off the streets at night. I got to know my parents really well, and I got to know their values. They talked to me about Gambaro, hang in there, about Haji, don't cause shame on others, don't brag, get people to work together with you, and express gratitude to them, okage-sama de. And these things were very, very important to me in my future. But I know that they were also very important to the military people in Europe and in Pacific fighting the wars at that time. I mention these things because I wanted the young people to know that the people who fought in Europe, AJ veterans, were very important to our country. And it's important that the young people know about them so that they can look to the future also. I would ask them, what good are you doing? I'm not saying they should emulate the AJ veterans, but the goals, the things that they thought about, fairness, equality in Hawaii, these are things that they should be aware of. I'm here because I believe very strongly in what the AJAs did, and what very strongly that those who follow should also bear in mind that the future requires stewardship, requires their participation in making Hawaii broken place.
All of you Americans of Japanese descent have a right to be proud today. You have demonstrated true Americanism and true American citizenship on the field of battle. You have realized the necessity of coming to this distant land and leaving your homes and your loved ones in order that you could destroy this enemy who would take from you the American way of life and the freedoms which we value so highly in America. You have another right to be proud, for you have reached the high standards of American fighting men. You're always willing to close with the enemy. He has no bluff on you, and you've always defeated him. And let me tell you again, the 34th Division is proud of you. The 5th Army is proud of you. America is proud of you. And I know that whatever future action you go into, you will conduct yourselves with glory and bring about the peace that we are entitled to. Good luck to you, and God bless you.
Aloha mai kako. It is an honor and privilege to participate in this virtual memorial service to honor World War II Nisei veterans. It is especially significant this year as we in Hawaii and as a nation commemorate 75 years of the end of World War II. On December 7th, 1941, the world changed for America, and that included a group of American men and women of Japanese ancestry who on that fateful morning saw their dreams shattered by the attack on Pearl Harbor, carrying the burden of having their country attacked and having their loyalty called into question. The World War II generation would be known as the greatest generation because of their selfless service, courage, and sacrifice. The Nisei soldiers had an additional weight as they fought the enemy abroad, and some gave the ultimate sacrifice on the altar of freedom while fighting blatant discrimination at home. Despite disparagement, Japanese Americans fought for a place in the war effort. They all raised their hands at a time when their family members were being interned, property confiscated, and their Americanism called into question. These soldiers ensured that at any cost, they would not bring shame to their family, their communities, and their country. As we remember our veterans today, during a time of national dialogue on equality and discrimination, I hear the stories of our World War II veterans echoing from the past, and they should be shared, and they should be heard. Note that our nation's military has been at the forefront of societal change. It is because of those who have come before us that I can stand before you here today. While those associated with the Nisei veterans know these facts, I think it is important that our next generation understand what our Nisei veterans did during World War II, and equally important, what they did when they came home, to realize the American dream and to serve others. I have always been inspired by Nisei veterans' bravery and courage in the face of peril. In fact, the 100 442 Infantry still remains the most highly decorated unit of its size. Because of their actions, American Japanese veterans came home vindicated, and many were determined to play a greater role in our country. Many went back and got their education, started businesses, and like Senators Inouye and Sparky Matsunaga, made a commitment to public service, to make life better for others, all people. Nisei veteran stories have reminded me that no matter who you are, what ethnicity you are, what gender you are, you can achieve the seemingly impossible in this country. By remembering the contributions of our Nisei veterans, we tell the world that this is not a country based on ethnicity, but one united by our values of liberty, equality, justice, and democracy. I believe it is our duty to remember the sacrifice, share the stories, so we never forget. Honor the memories of those who bravely and faithfully served. Our generation and generations to come should not forget what our Nisei veterans have done. May God bless our veterans and the brave men and women of our armed forces who come from every background on earth to defend our nation and values. May God bless the state of Hawaii, and God bless our great nation.
Today, allow me to pay my respect to all veterans at the Nisei Veteran Legacy Memorial Online Service, and to your families on behalf of the Honpa Honganji Mission of Hawaii. The second generation Japanese American were guided by those who came to Hawaii at the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century. We call them the Gannen-mono, Kanyaku and Kibe. You helped and supported to your parents by working in the sugar cane, pineapple, and in the coffee plantations. In World War II, you contributed to the nation joining and participating in units such as the 100th Infantry Battalion, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, the Military Intelligence Service, and the 1399th Engineer Battalion. After returning to Hawaii, Nisei Japanese Americans continued to contribute to the statewide society. Today, as I am proud of your historical activities and effort, I wish to honor you and your deceased friends. I would like to express our gratitude to all of you. I appreciate you for your history, and I promise to tell our generation and our following generation all about the Nisei veterans' history and their effort. Thank you and Namo Amida Butsu, and trusting in all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. In Gasho, Minister Honpa Honganji, Mission of Hawaii, Reverend Masanari Yamagishi. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.
Hi, my name is John Terzumi. Thank you for this opportunity to speak at this Nisei Veterans Memorial Service. Being a grandson of a World War II veteran, this really means a lot to me. Their bravery in fighting for a war for their families and country, and the perseverance and endurance in the way they live their lives courageously and humbly inspires me in the way I live my life today. My grandfather, Makoto Kunimune, was a World War II veteran in the Military Intelligence Service, stationed in the Philippines and then in Japan after the war for the rebuilding efforts. Post-war, he, my grandmother, and my aunties and uncles ran the family businesses Buenlili Store and Kuni Dry Goods. Many of these immigrant families struggled to get loans to buy homes, to start businesses after the war. These veterans did not want to accept the inequities they fought so hard for during the war. Central Pacific Bank was started by a group of World War II veterans from the 100th Battalion, 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and Military Intelligence Service. I have a great sense of pride working for CPB because of this history. When I think about the challenges I face in my life recently with the COVID-19 crisis, I think about the challenges my grandfather faced. There are so many distractions in the world today, but I feel it's important for our generation and future generation to learn the story of the Nisei War veterans. When they were young and the courage they had to stand up and risk their lives to go to war, to fight for so much, to fight for who they are as Americans, that is very special.
Forward, march, up, 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 get in step, up, 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 mark time, march. Detail, halt. Left, face. With blank ammunition, load. Ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Ready, aim, fire. Freeze it. Order, arms. Right, face. Forward, march. Up, 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 up. Up, 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 right turn, march. Freeze it, on. Order, on. Retrieve, colors. Ready, cut. Left turn, march. Up, 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 forward, March. Up. 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 Up.
When my father was asked why he had volunteered to serve as a member of the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, he said simply, to prove that we were loyal Americans. And I know that he was deeply proud to have been a 442nd soldier. Thank you for joining us in honoring the Nisei soldiers of World War II.